affecting my mind.
Welcome back to another episode, Change Tomorrow Today, the hottest podcast in the world.
Ooh, it's hot. It's hot in the room, man. Jack, mate, hey, we got you the whole night, brother, huh?
Thank you,
Hey,
Jack.
Jack.
We appreciate you,
2024
Jack.
Renaissance man.
For Renaissance,
Renaissance
man.
man.
We got another great episode for you guys. Obstacles that are in relationships and then the dysfunctions of it all. Like how it comes together and create this whole massive nastiness for us as a people. Causes, divorce and breakups and misunderstandings. Huh?
Yeah, man.
Some of us, we go through it, don't we? And sometimes we don't even know how to put it back together because it's so dysfunctional. Right? We just give up. We say, I'd rather just give up and just move on to the next. And it repeats itself again because we never learn how to fix it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? How to mend things. So
I think a big mender would be therapy. But black community don't want to talk about that, so we can talk about what y'all want to talk about.
The black community don't want to talk about therapy, huh?
I don't.
You look like you got a lot to say, Jack. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jack, you smiling. What's up?
Listen,
go ahead. Lay it on.
There's a lot of stigmas, like as far as like relationships, like I have a beautiful host Vic said, black people don't like therapy, and it's just like I feel like that's a stigma. As somebody who goes to therapy and had to go through that long line of trying to find therapy, and it's just like it's not to say that black people need special help with therapy. It's to say that there's a lot of things with therapy that like we as a community we've never had to face. And so it's just like a lot of things in therapy that they face you with. If you're not really ready to face that, you find yourself in a lot of like, especially judging us. You judge us as a community. You judge yourself as an individuality, and then you judge people that you grew to respect in our community. So that's one of the big things with therapy. It's not to say that there's a taboo for black people in therapy. It's to say that a lot of the things that we rely on to help us, therapy goes against that. Right. And then a lot of things that therapy provides or the options that they're giving, it doesn't like there's, I'm not trying to say there's not enough black therapists. There are a lot of black therapists, but it's just like going about getting them and trying to find them the same way, the same avenues, because you run into the same thing that you run in with everything else. It's structural racism, whether people want to admit it or not. But in a situation where it's just like, first of all, most black people aren't used to talking or understanding their feelings or their mentality. Then you have to understand our education is very Eurocentric, whether we want to admit it or not. Like there's a lot of things that is just like that is triggered with our society that the conversation doesn't really give credence to what we experience, even when you're having a normal conversation with a therapist, just because of their version of academia and what they understand as a reality. For a lot of people like myself and a lot of people that kind of like endured our circumstances, talking to somebody is very helpful. But when you're talking to people that is just like, you're a specimen, you're a study, you're something they heard about. Okay. It's a very hard connection. So that's where it's just like, I definitely say we do need therapy, but in the sense of like when you're talking to like black people or black males, like I could speak from a black male standpoint, a lot of things that we've experienced, the therapy and the academic community, they're not really equipped to have that conversation. Right. Because there's not a lot of black scholarly people that's equipped to fully have the conversation with people that's not as academically astute as others. Okay. Like I could have a conversation because it's just like, I've been in the military. So usually they come at me from a military standpoint. We create a foundation and then we can build off of that. And then they could build on my community. But that's because they know to connect with me on the military standpoint first. If I didn't have that connection, for me to open up to a stranger that doesn't understand, it's just like black is one thing. Black culture
Something
means
else.
another thing. Then black African American culture means something completely different. We grew up in South Florida. You go to Central Florida, they're black, but their experience, even though it's somewhat economically the same, their reaction to it and our reaction to it is something completely different. So if you have somebody talking to you about certain things going on in your head, you're terrified to express yourself. And it's like therapy is a very complex thing. And due to the fact we're not the majority, we're not, when they say the average American, we're not included in that conversation. Okay. A lot of black people don't even understand what that means. Like,
so I'm gonna pause because I have to get some clarity. Is it that we're not the majority, or is it that we have convinced ourselves and we believe that we're not? Because if we're looking at numbers, black people are the majority. But I feel as though we have gotten so used to and complacent with making such a statement as, I'm not the majority, or
so
you wouldn't understand me.
So when we say the majority, if you're talking about numbers, right? If we're looking at us on an international level, yeah, we're the majority. If you're looking at it when they talk about studies and they say Americans, the American such and such society,
right?
The Philadelphia such and such society.
Right, they're not
so
gotcha.
Yeah. So when we're looking at scientific studies and stuff like that, like psychology and therapy, and when they talk about the American population, if you're looking at a percentage base and they say the average American,
they're not talking about us.
They're not talking about us. We don't
us.
like, and when you say the average American, if you're saying the such and such institute took a survey of 100 Americans, out of that 100 Americans, black people probably represent 14%.
But that also ties into, like I said, us understanding that that is a mind game, and that is something that they're doing and they've been doing, because it keeps us in a certain mind frame,
right?
Because now you're giving me a study that's really not, you're telling me it's the majority, but it's not.
So those are the things when if we're talking about relationship, when we're talking about the dysfunctions about our relationships, and it's just like black people have to take into accountability what black relationships really mean. Like,
what do they mean?
Our relationship has never been based on love. Our relationships has always been based on survival and what's best for the overall. Like the fact that we're now being dragged into these conversations based on the quality of life.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, we're being like, black men are being asked to be accountable for years and generations of.
Where'd you get that from? It's never been about love. Where would you get that from?
Well, if you look at, like, it's not to say like you want to kind of give a lot of credence to slavery or anything to that magnitude, but if you're saying how black people have gotten along to this point, if you're saying like black people weren't falling in love with each other because, oh, me and her are madly in love with each other because we got a choice. No, we're on the same plantation. We're around the same age group. Like, you're only making your decisions based on the options available to you. So
is that not love, though?
It's not to say that
I would have to see on the plantation.
Right.
She'd have to catch my eye.
It's not to say that it's not love. It's to say that our unions were based on what's available to us and what we're doing to survive. When you start looking into the late 60s and the early 70s, and you start looking at women's push towards independence, and you start looking at the thing that they call feminism that got caught up with black civil rights.
Yeah.
This is where it's just like, when people don't want to look at what actually happened. Like, we're not talking about what it is today, what actually happened. You had strong black union between black men and black women. Then you had white women wanting to be just as important as white men. So they jumped into the civil rights movement with black men and black women and hijacked the women's standpoint.
You're right.
And so then that got picked up by mainstream, because a white society is only going to pander to what white is talking about. And white women betrayed white men and sided with civil rights before white man did.
Yeah.
So as women started getting power, white women started empowering black women.
Black women, correct, correct.
And so then that flipped the dynamics. We're the only society where we don't have a say in what our women do. Everybody else, Middle Eastern man, Middle Eastern woman gets out of line, Middle Eastern man speaks up, problem solved.
You think the civil right is what caused us to not have the rights over what goes on with our women? Or I think that's like slavery, bro. Like,
It's to say,
from slavery, it just kept on going.
No, it's to say, yeah, definitely slavery kept on going.
But the feminist movement.
But if you're looking at how it happened, it's to say how it happened. And if you're looking at what black people got to deal with, black men and women, our issue, what we got to deal with and what everybody else got to deal with is completely different. Our situation is something completely dynamic.
My question would be why?
Well,
without going to the 60s, the 70s, without going back to history, generally speaking, why? If we were speaking for just you, if you only could take accountability and speak for yourself, why would you say that's the situation or the scenario?
If I was just speaking on about myself to say why was that the situation is because
why is it if it is the situation for you, why?
I'm not fully understanding the question because it's like I feel like the only way to give the question like a real credence is you have to look at why that question even exists. If you're saying forget why the question exists and you're saying, okay, well, looking at these two individuals in this situation, why are they doing the things that they're doing without looking into the past? It just seems completely wild.
Right.
It just seems like the dude doesn't have any respect for the woman and the woman is just trying her best and he doesn't respect what she's doing.
I think
where
the reason I kind of cut off that 60s, 70s, we were all
80s babies.
80s babies.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a 90s baby. So y'all.
We know already.
But anywho, so just to speak on from our perspective, like we understand. I feel like for the most part, we understand that our forefathers, our grandmothers, grandfathers, they went through things and they experienced things that we could never even fathom or even begin to understand. Even if we broke it down a million ways, we weren't there, so we don't understand it. So my question, like as a millennial woman, speaking to a man and understanding that there's so much dysfunction in relationships. And growing up, I didn't fortunately, I didn't grow up, let's say, in the ghetto per se. And so I did have a lot of culture. I did grow up with a lot of different cultures. And so I was able to witness where you may have a Caucasian family and they're together without that dynamic, without that dysfunction. And so regardless of what my circumstances were at home, as an adult and as a grown woman, I can, without saying, well, my grandmother went through XYZ and slavery and blah, 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 I can say, this is what I want. This is how I want to receive love. And this dysfunction that may or may not exist in this community, I don't want it. So my question is to the gentleman on the panel here is, why does it exist? Meaning, I don't want it, so I won't. I do my best to prevent it from existing because that's just my choice. Not representative of anything that I understand happened.
No, it's one thing to want it, but it's just to say there's what's in your head and then what's actual reality.
Yes.
And so it's just like when you look at it's just like you said, like you're born of the 90s, and it's just like it's to say if you omit what happened in the 80s and 70s, at the time the 90s came along, this is now. You're talking about the generation of men that's literally strictly raised. If you're talking about percentage-wise, 60 to 70 something percent, that is strictly motherly influence.
Right.
And the men ain't there. So if you don't want to go into if you just want to say, okay, the men ain't there. Okay, fine. The men ain't there. So what does that cause? So when you look at other cultures, when you look at little Middle Eastern girls, you look at little white girls, you look at little Asian girls, their fathers are in the home. Their fathers go to work. even if the mom is being mean, the daughter is around. If the mom is being mean to the dad, the daughter sees that. She feels that. And so she comforts her dad.
Right.
She goes up to the dad while mommy is like, oh, blah, 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 blah. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. He's sitting on a couch watching 1992 Home Improvement. The daughter will come as a little girl. She will sit on her daddy's lap. She will lean into his chest. She will do things because she know mom is being mean to make him feel a certain way.
Okay.
Right? Those are things that little girls learned from other cultures, how to help their men feel better. So as she gets older, when she gets a boyfriend, when she gets a man that she cares about, when he's going through stress, she knows how to be feminine and make him feel manly to help, as opposed to where if you're black, this little black girl didn't grow up with a father.
Yeah.
She didn't grow up with a male present. She grew up with her brothers and her cousins. When things hit the fans, when let's say a bill didn't get paid, mom is complaining about it. Her brother that's probably older than her or the same age as her, he's just as quiet as her. They looking at each other and they trying to figure out how to soothe to mommy.
Yeah.
There's no male there to kind of like circumvent that energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is this like, as we grow older, it's like when you look at black women, it's not that black women don't have the right idea. If my girl sees me stressing, she's like, my baby's stressing, I need to help him. So she was gonna throw me ideas. She wants to get in the driver's seat and help me drive and give me directions because that's what we know to do.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, if you grew up with a father, you grew up with a male present, you like, I'm not gonna tell him what to do. I'm just gonna make him feel better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once you make him feel better, it doesn't matter how much you had to put yourself in a feminine role. You will see that man like just he's stressed. Like when you look at Middle Eastern men, you know, I've got Middle Eastern friends. I go to their houses. Their moms, you know, their friend will be like, "Oh, Jackson's coming over for dinner," and their mom will be like, "Fine." But everything is very economical. She knows she has to make an extra plate. She's gonna be like, "That's such and such friend," and so the dad gonna come through. He gonna look at you. All right, whatever.
Right.
My friend likes you. What? My son likes you. You probably don't got no regular proper home training, but you know you here. Wifey spoke up for you. Cool. You'll see the daughter. You'll see the women. They cater to dad. They help him deal with the situation. They help him bring down his masculinity to be like, what are you doing? They're like, to make him not attack you as a newcomer at the table.
Yeah.
They know to do that. That's something that's ingrained in them. When you try to get that same thing from black women, or you try to get it from people from the same existence as you, first of all, you're not used to a dude being there that's going through it, that you have to kind of range his emotions. You'll see that with black boys that got fathers. Like, dad comes home, dad's not having a good day. Yo, shut it up.
I have to disagree.
Okay.
I disagree greatly. I disagree as like I said, a young black female. I didn't grow up in a household with my father. My father was in prison. However, I did grow up in a household with my grandfather. We witnessed and we saw the same things in which you're referring to, and we had to kind of manage and maneuver and figure it out, me and my sister. And we did the best that we could, you know, with what we had. So I just feel like it's almost more or less, we can't put a stigma to say the black community or the black woman didn't experience this. And in addition to that, I feel like we can't say because you didn't experience this, you don't know how to do this. Because the alternative to that would be, because for me, I feel like I'm an extremely loving person. And considering I joke all the time and I say to people like I grew up like an orphan because I didn't have my mom or my dad, you know. So in the instance of you making that resemblance, I should be the devil. I shouldn't know any type of love. I shouldn't know because I didn't grow up with either side of it.
Right.
I kind of was just there. And if we want to get even more detailed into it, I was one of those kids that I moved around almost every year. So my bouncing around, there was no stability.
So,
Right.
in the sense of,
I gotta be fair.
no. You're making in the sense of right is right
Wrong
and left
is
is left.
Right.
Yeah, But like in the sense of like you have white, black, and in between, if you're trying to mix white and black, that little gray, it's a lot of things.
Right.
So in a sense of like, yeah, okay, you had your grandfather present, but it's to say, do you ever like, because it's like it's something that I had to notice.
Right.
It's just like I had like, especially growing up in Miami, I had a lot of male Hispanic friends.
Yeah.
I seen how they react to being very overprotective of their cousins,
Yeah.
their sisters.
But did it make you also
No.
then turn to be more?
No. The thing is, I've seen how overprotective Hispanic men are of their sisters,
They're very
Right.
their mothers,
Right.
Yeah.
their cousins,
Right.
the
It was
females,
upbringing.
yeah.
right?
Right.
Because they have males around
That's instilling
that's
that into
instilling
Yeah.
that into them, that's pressuring them to stand up to that.
them. Right.
When I look at the situation I grew up in, it's like, yeah, I had that in me from a very like gangster type
Yeah.
perspective.
It was different.
It was very different.
Yeah.
And then even in that situation, it's just say I had homeboys that given their situation, they'll pimp out family members,
Right.
Jesus
they
Christ.
sisters. You feel me? It's not because they cared. It's just like she was already doing things with 2 or 3 of the homies anyway.
Mm.
She was like the protection
That's
that
extreme
Yeah,
dysfunction.
right. The protection that should have been there,
So
it was gone
you
way
do- you
before
do
he was
realize-
present.
You do realize what the difference is, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You do realize when you name all these different cultures, how the women are so different.
Yeah.
But you also name how the protection is different.
Right.
We don't protect ours. We don't love on ours the same way that other races do. So if you want, you can't. So how are you gonna have a wife that's gonna be able to be a helpmate to you, right?
Tend to your
tend to your
emotional-
emotional needs if nobody ever taught her how to do those things. You just said the man wasn't in the house. So
Yeah.
if the dad is not there, what's she gonna learn that from?
But that's what.
But even back then, when it was happening, it's still happening today. So
Right.
nothing has changed.
You're right. That's
But
what.
let me say something.
Hold up,
Let me
brother.
Let me just go
No,
quick.
I'm not done, brother.
All right, go ahead.
I've been listening for a long time.
But
I'm
I
calling
wanna-
bullshit.
go ahead,
The reason
go
I'm calling bullshit is because we niggas don't take responsibility for nothing we do, dog. We all niggas do is say, it's her fault. She did that. Nigga, that's bullshit, dog. We doing all that bullshit. All these girls running wild because of us. We don't give a fuck about them. We treat them like shit. We fuck them. We laugh at them. Ha, ha, ha. We tell the homies, you can get some too.
No
and
respect.
then when we get older, I can't find a respectable wife. How the fuck you gonna do that when we ran through them all? We
right.
treated them like shit. They don't even know what pride is, bro. They don't even know what love is. But we want them to be like the white women, the Asian woman, the Middle
But they
Eastern
didn't
woman.
go through what the black
But we
woman
never
went through.
treated them like queens, bro. Dog, come on, bro. You just said
No, you.
we're gonna prostitute their own family member,
Yeah.
right? You
Let's-
gonna pimp out. Go ahead. Come as long as I'm getting the money.
All right, let me say
So
this.
no, hold up, bro. I'm not. Come on, dog.
Dog,
I'm
you
no,
said-
dog. It's in the.
Hey, let me talk.
No. I'm saying it's in me right now, brother. I gotta let it out, brother.
Nah, let me talk.
No, hold on. You gonna get your? Let me get it out. I've been listening for a long time while y'all been dialoguing. I'm saying it's bullshit, dog. Niggas need to really blame themselves for what the fuck is going on. If anything is gonna change, we gotta change this shit, bro. Cause ain't no women finna just wake up and just be what the fuck you want them to be. That's bullshit, dog. If you want women to act accordingly, you treat them accordingly, bro. If all we chasing is tail, what the baddest bitch look like, they all gonna wanna be that. But if we chasing a woman, a real woman, we say, oh, we want a lady. Why we not chasing ladies, bro? Why are we chasing this tail? The finest bitch, that's what we after. Oh, she bad. I wanna fuck her. So what do you think the regular girl gonna wanna be, bro?
Not even that. The regular girl doesn't get the same attention.
So what do you think she's gonna want to be? You
It's
can't
like- but
say
no, yeah.
You can't say oh I don't get that from you're not gonna never get that because we don't treat our women the same way
But let
these
me
other
say
men
this.
do.
But let me
dog.
say this. You know, okay. One of the major problems with blacks, we weren't taught how to properly vet. I'm gonna piggyback off what Jackson said about the love thing. The difference between Middle Easterns, Asians, they're not taught love. For example, they're taught economics, right? Arranged marriages. Like, for example, you have Abdullah over here and you have Farhan. Abdullah is a lawyer. Farhan is a CEO of a 500 company. He said, you know what? Let me pair my daughter with Farhan. And this is how these people continue to thrive and grow economically. That's what we need to be taught.
Nigga, we
How
in
to properly-
2024,
No,
nigga.
we need to teach.
We in 2024,
Listen,
Al. You can't pay. Ain't nobody finna pay you 10
you get my
sheeps.
point, right, brother?
Ain't nobody gonna give you 10, 20 sheeps off for your daughter's hand. Fuck out. Listen,
But
man.
we do need to do that.
Bro,
No.
you got
to
daughters.
How to properly
Hey,
vet.
it's called
No.
free. No.
This is
What
what
we
I'm
need.
telling.
No.
This is what I'm trying to tell you. My
No.
daughters. This is what I'm trying to say to you. I'm not gonna allow my daughter to bring any old man in front of me.
Al,
That's
you
what I'm saying.
don't gotta
And
allow
that's
it, Al.
listen,
She's gonna do what she wanna
I
do
hear you.
anyway.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's my job as a father to teach my daughter
Yes.
how to properly vet.
Yes, bro.
So you
it's your
telling me-
job.
You get what I'm
But
saying?
at the end of the day, it's her
It's my
decision.
job. I understand it's a decision.
Yes,
but
bro.
guess what? I'm helping
But
her.
if you did your job when
That's
she
the
was
difference.
small, no. If you did your
Hey,
job
Jackson,
from when
can
she
I-
was
listen,
small, she's
listen,
gonna pick the
Jackson,
right person
Jackson,
anyway,
listen,
bro.
True.
Jackson, listen.
You see what I'm saying? If you taught her from a
It-
young age, bro, the right things to look for in a man, you don't gotta worry about it when she gets older. You ain't gotta vet nothing, bro.
And
She
you
gonna pick the right person anyway. But I'm saying to you, you niggas don't got the right to sit here complain about how the women are when we made them this way, bro. We gotta keep it all
Listen.
gangster across the board.
You-
We can't play the blame game, because that ain't gonna change nothing. We dog these girls out, bro. We did a lot of dirt to them girls, bro. And I'm not giving them a pass, because they grown ups. They can change their mind and be different if they want to. But I'm saying, don't make it seem like they gotta do this, they gotta do that. Nah, nigga, we need to do a whole lot too. Stop chasing hoes. That's all I'm saying.
Are we looking at it as in a perfect society, or are we looking at it for what
We're looking
it
at it for
really
what it is, bro.
All
We're
right.
not talking about perfect.
All right. So if
That
we're
don't
talking,
exist.
all right. So if we're talking about a perfect society of what should be done, yeah. But
That's
if we're
not gonna
talking about what's actually happening, what he's saying to a certain extent is true, and what Al is saying is to a certain extent is true. Like when we look at numbers, statistically speaking, this is how it normally works out. 33% normally say yes, 33% normally say no, and 33% is somewhere in the middle. And then you normally have some abstruse variances.
Right.
But the 33% that's in the middle is usually the most valuable because that 33% can easily turn into 40 and sway any which way. So in the sense of like, yes, we are the dudes that's like, in the sense of like, I get what Ralph is saying. Like, we did that shit. Like, a lot of the stuff that we complaining about with women, yeah, we're a catalyst of it. And a lot of things that we want from females, we're putting it on them like, y'all should be this way. But we know the traumas that we put women through.
Not taking accountability for
And
the reason that it's not that
I
way.
mean, no sense, huh?
It's to say, and
Go ahead and say it.
I'll go off
say
on
it.
a
Go
limb.
say it, bro.
Look,
Say what you gotta
and,
say.
And this is what, honestly, what I
I'm
gotta
gonna say what I want to say.
Okay.
Say it, bro.
At the end of the day, it's just like, for black people, unfortunately, in their conundrum, they're living a Eurocentric fantasy. Black people, for the longest, we've been living a lie, and black people don't want to admit it.
Thank you.
Most black people, like if black people were smart, if black people really want to exercise their intelligence and freedom, most black people should be most likely practicing polygamy, because we're already a polygamous culture. Everybody sleeps with everybody anyways. Everybody's already raising somebody's kid in somehow, some way, some form. We already promote that shit through our culture because we all know what a broken family looks like.
Right.
The fact of the matter is,
Boy, you wild,
most
boy.
black people is most black people is sitting there trying to push Eurocentric views and living up to Eurocentric standards to feel good about their insecurities.
Right.
And we love it because we're insecure and emotionally weak.
I got a question for you. You have daughters? Do you have daughters?
3 of them.
How old are they?
I got a daughter that's 16 turning 17 turning 18. Just went to prom. I have a daughter that is 7 going on 13. I have a daughter that is 4 years old turning 13.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Being that you have 3 daughters, do you feel that as a father, the same thing you saying the black women lack, do you feel that you gave those attributes to your daughters?
Of course not. Like,
So that
If-
you just
But
made my point
pause.
again.
Yep.
That's no, you got. It's not, and no. That's what I'm saying. So if you didn't give those attributes to your daughters, how are we changing the narrative for the future?
But see, that's where I say we got to live in reality. The
What
reality
is
of
that? No, Jack, come on.
no, no,
Don't do
no, no,
that.
no, no, no,
Jack,
no,
no, Jack, come on, dog.
Let
Don't do
him
that,
get it
dog.
off. Let
See,
him get it off. Go ahead,
see,
Jack.
the thing is, if you want to be right and you want to say, are you doing the same things for your daughters that you trying to promote? And it was just like, to a certain extent, it's just like I'm promoting the best example of the type of dude that I would want them to be with.
Right.
Even though I try to tell my daughters, you don't really want to deal with a dude like me.
But they're gonna
But
look
you
for that.
can't say it. You have to be exemplified, brother.
Listen, this is what. Listen to what I'm telling you. It's not about what you can say. It's not about anything. The thing is about it's the reality. You might find yourself in a situation like you asked me. You asked me how many daughters I have.
Yeah,
I have 3 daughters.
I understand.
I am not living with any of my daughters.
Mm-hmm.
I first have to worry about I have 6 sons.
No. Listen to what I'm
No,
saying,
no.
Jack. Your example was when this Middle Eastern man has daughters and a wife that
See?
calms them and hold on, soothes them down and calms them, and they know how to be
Okay.
I'm
So,
saying if
no,
you
no,
didn't
no,
give
no.
those
All right.
attributes to your daughter, how can they then?
So the conversation, right? There's 2 conversations that you're trying to have.
No, I'm having one.
No,
I'm trying to show
you're
you.
trying to have. There's a conversation of, am I a human being allowed to be a dynamic human being,
Of course.
or am I a human being that's bounded by my words and my responsibilities?
No.
No. See, you don't want to have that conversation
let's have it.
because
Let's have it.
it's like this.
Let's have it.
If you say, well, you said this and you said that, and I'm like, yeah, because I know how it's supposed to be.
Right.
And I know what's actually happening. And I
Okay.
could say, when I deal with Middle Eastern women, the things that I've experienced or the things I've experienced from shorties that have fathers are these things.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
The things that I would love to instill in women are those things.
Uh-huh.
But if you say, okay, what's your relationship with your kids?
Yeah.
I'm not,
It's different.
they're not being raised by me.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, I have to understand the actual reality of the situation and be like, okay, my daughters aren't being raised by me. They're being influenced by this. They're being influenced by that. The only thing I can be is a positive catalyst in the decisions that they're making.
Right.
So let
I
me
can't
say-
really influence
But
them.
then you couldn't use what you were using in
Right.
the beginning to make
It's
it to bash
not a
women.
use.
But you
So
was
let me
bashing
pull-
women.
Not
Let me
bashing
pull this
women.
No,
together.
but I'm saying,
pointing the reality of it.
but it was one-sided.
No,
though, is
no,
what I'm
no, no.
saying,
Yeah.
Jack. And I'm not
Listen.
pandering to women.
Listen.
Don't get it twisted. I'm not
Listen.
saying
You
that
s-
y'all okay.
listen.
Because
You
y'all,
used the
y'all
term-
fucked up too.
you
But I'm
said
just
the
saying you
term-
can't do that though.
You
bro.
said the term. You said the term that I bashed or anything. No, I'm telling you the difference
Can I pull
between
this
black
together?
women.
Try it,
No,
bro.
I'm telling you the difference between black women and
Jack,
other cultures.
we have kids that's gonna be
I
black
would
women.
love to pull this together. We're going to pull this together
Go
in
ahead.
this way right here. The topic of this conversation based upon relationships in the black community and the fact that dysfunction exists. And in order, I get what you're saying, Jack, but you're wrong. So in order for us to really pull it in, we have to be the example that we want.
That's all I'm saying.
That's
No,
it.
no, no.
No,
That's
Jack.
all I was
Because
saying.
what you're saying is no, because I listened to you, and what you're saying is what the reality is, and what really is, and what it should be, right?
No,
But
no,
the-
no,
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 no, but
what the
listen to me.
reality is and what it should be can't be the same thing.
You're right.
I'm talking about what
However-
it really is.
However, that is not a fact. That is a fact for you. That is not, and I'm gonna say why it's not a fact. Because we have 3 gentlemen here, right? You all have daughters, right?
Right.
And you all have chosen different ways in which to raise those daughters. So you cannot say that's not a fact. You can say it's not a fact for you, right?
Right.
So to pull this all in, I would say to prevent so much dysfunction in the black community, it starts with that household in which you're in. The mother, the father, the woman, the man, and the choices that
Okay.
you make. You didn't have to have those daughters
Right, right,
so
right.
you couldn't be
No,
in a
no, no,
household
no,
with them.
no.
That was a choice.
So quick question.
Talk to me.
It's to say all that to be true, right?
Yes.
In the sense of you have 3 different males
Yeah.
who
Different
all have 3
perspectives.
different perspectives
Right.
Yeah.
on how they're raising their daughters.
Yeah.
It's to say when you look at the black community,
That's
of-
what it is.
when you look at the black community of how black women are acting, out of the 3 examples that you've heard of black fathers to black women, what seems to be the majority of the display of women that you're seeing? Are you seeing the display of a man being present? Are you seeing the display of a man being active? Are you seeing the display of a man being semi-active?
If I'm being fair,
Mm-hmm.
and if I'm being as transparent as I can be, you made some bad decisions, Jack.
No, it's not.
But listen,
not
but
me.
listen,
I'm saying,
we can-
what is the action you're
Pause.
seeing of black
I'm
women?
answering your question.
Okay.
Because you have these two gentlemen here who
Right.
have a different.
Yep.
Listen,
Right.
AJ, Jack, Ralph.
Okay.
You guys all have daughters, right? You guys have all chosen different ways in which to raise those daughters. So now we can go into this a little bit deeper. We don't have a lot of time, so we can't keep going. But what I am going to say is, Jack, you made some decisions there.
You're right. Okay. Question.
Wait. That'll be for the next episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. We do not have any more time to continue this conversation, but you can continue it in the comments. Jack, you make sure you be there for those comments, okay? Because they're going to come for you. I'm just letting you know.
Hey, don't come for me.
Like, comment.
And hit the like button and make sure you subscribe.
Thank you.
Don't come for me.
Anything you want to say, Rafi?
God bless.
All I can say, dog, is be the change you want to see, dog.
Yes.
Facts.
That's what I'm saying. If you want better quality,
Look in the camera. Look in the camera,
I
my
don't want
brother.
to look at the camera.
Look in the camera, man. Let
if
them see the face.
if you want better quality, man, you got. We have to groom better quality. We have to take responsibility for the shit that we've done, bro. Like, that's the problem with niggas. We don't want to be responsible. It's easier to pass the shit on to the next person and be like, oh, that is their fault. But truthfully, bro, I have daughters. I had sisters, you know what I'm saying? Growing up, I had a sister. I didn't tend to her because I didn't know. I wish I knew what I knew now. I feel like I love my sister, but we don't have a good relationship. It's my fault because, I'm young. I'm chasing. But now I have daughters. When I hear dudes saying, like talk on black women, it's not that, they're that, whatever we pin out to be hoes or whatever. Just they never had no guidance, bro. Never had nobody to show them genuine love, bro. Just like you have your daughters about to graduate college and everything, because you show them what man is supposed to be like. You show them genuine love, bro.
Properly vetting.
Yep.
You could call it that, but
That's
you show them
what it is.
You show them love.
That's
You
what
see?
it is.
And I'm saying, like, just like you may not be present, but your kids know you love them. You do anything for them. Yeah, I'm not there, but if you call daddy, I got you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the same thing with my dad. But I'm saying we can't just point the finger, bro. It's because when you point one, dog, all them other shit pointing right back. We some dog ass niggas, man. We gotta be truthful and honest with that. And if we want to see better in our community, we gotta start doing better. We gotta start choosing better women, bro. Because otherwise, this shit gonna keep going. And my kid gonna have to go to a museum. I got a young boy, 2.0 me. He gonna have to go to a museum to see what a woman supposed to be like. Because we done dog all these women out, man. And we think it's cool. We laugh and high five each other. Shit ain't funny. You know what I'm saying? We the only people that do that to each other. Niggas ain't shit. And I'm sorry to say, bitches ain't neither. You know what I'm saying? Peace.